Thank you very much for joining me. Hope you're all doing well. It's Monday evening and it's time for almost a mini debrief, but more like a live with Geo show. I normally do them in the morning after the game, but I was at a wedding on Friday and I was hungover on Saturday. So I just want to say a quick thank you to Frankie, who did the watch along, did the review, and then did the debrief show on Saturday. And a massive thank you to you guys as well for making him feel welcome and interacting. So big thank you. Big cuddles from Gio. I appreciate you all. Anyway, in today's video, it's sort of a follow on from the video I did earlier on. The earlier video was just saying, Nuno, man, what are you doing? What was that all about? What was that lineup at Leeds all about? Unforgivable. No excuses, no reasons, no justification for it, right? Got off my chest now. Feeling good about it. Feel better now. But I'm a believer that sometimes you got to have two eyes looking forward, because if you've got one eye looking back, means you ain't got both looking forward, right? So what can we do? What can Nuno do from here on in, as in the next game in Burnley before the next international break? And he absolutely must learn from the two games. Now, I naively was hoping he would learn from the mistakes he did against Brentford. He didn't. He repeated them against Leeds. It's done now. But what he cannot do, while I think what he did against Leeds was unforgivable, I think it would be even worse if he repeated it against Newcastle. And I think part of the reason I'm a little bit worried and scared is because I didn't expect this from Nuno. I thought, do you know what? I still do. I still think he's a good manager. I was happy when we appointed him. And part of me still is. Even though the last two games has shown me absolutely no reason to be glad he's here. They've given me lots of reasons to be worried that he's here. But there's a bit of me that thinks he's still a good manager, right? He still did good at Nottingham Forest. He still did good at Wolves. And I think surely to hell he can't do it for a third game in a row. He just cannot do it for a third game in a row. He has to learn from the previous two games. But here's the thing. Against Brentford, at half-time, he changed it. Went to the back three. And that didn't work either. So during the game against Brentford, he was trying things and nothing was working. Everything was wrong. From the first whistle to the last whistle, everything against Brentford was wrong. So when he came away from that match, there wasn't really anything to say, this, Nuno, this worked, take that into the next game. There wasn't anything. But he's got that now. Against Leeds in the second half, to be fair, after the injury to Scarles and Wilson came on, there was a slight improvement. But in the second half, once he started changing midfield, once Potts was on the pitch, Fernandes was on the pitch, it got better. Now, of course, it goes hand in hand with the fact that Leeds were 2-0 up. They sat back and said, there's the ball. What are you going to do? Gave them a late scare. But there was an improvement. There were some nice bits of play between that midfield. There was something to say to Nuno. You take this into Newcastle, right? You've worked out now. You've seen it now. Wan-Bissaka at right back. If he's going to play, it has to be left back. Potts has to start. Now, coming into the summer, I can understand if Potter was hesitant to feel that Freddie Potts was a sure thing in the midfield at West Ham. If Potter felt Potts was a gamble, I get it. Played in pre-season. Looked really good. At that point, he should really have gambled away to Sunderland, and he didn't. But I kind of get why he might have been a bit unsure if Potts was ready to step up or not. I get it. But Potts is no longer the gamble. The gamble in the middle of the pitch at West Ham United is sticking with Irving and Tomas Soucek. Freddie Potts used to be the gamble. Can the academy graduates step up? The reality is we don't know the answer. We don't know if the answer is yes. He's looked quite promising. I thought he looked quite good against Leeds. But there's also been a couple of games he's come off the bench this season where it looked a little bit shaky. Was it Chelsea? I want to say against Chelsea, he came off the bench. He wasn't great. But what we do know is Andy Irving ain't going to cut it. Tomas Soucek looks worse than last season. I don't know what is, and it's not just for club either, it's for country too. The Czechia fans, as covered, Czechia fans are not happy with him at the minute. His performances have dipped somewhat drastically. Rodriguez ain't going to do it in the Premier League. Can Magassa do it? We don't know, right? We hope so. But the gamble isn't Potts. The gamble isn't Magassa. The gamble is actually those tried, tested, and experienced ones in Soucek and Rodriguez. I'm going to leave out Irving because I don't think he's tried and tested at this level. More experienced than the other two, of course, but that's in the Bundesliga, second division, in the Austrian division and stuff like that. It's completely different leagues. Nuno has to learn. I've had some pushback earlier saying I'm being too harsh on Nuno and you can't start calling out the manager after 4 games. I absolutely can, because it's my opinion. You can do what you want. You don't have to call him out. People think it's too soon to call out Nuno. That's okay. You don't have to. You can wait till X amount of games and put up with what he's doing. You can ignore what he's done against Leeds or Brentford, or you can be happy with what he's done against Leeds or Brentford. It's completely up to you. But I ain't changing my opinion because it's 4 games in. The worst thing is, we were all right away to Everton. I was quite hopeful after Everton. Excellent. Tweak that a little bit. We might be all right. I just don't get why he's ripped up and done all these strange things. I don't get it. Like, I've read loads of comments. There's nothing that's making me think that's it. That's why he's done it. None of it. None of it's adding up. But regardless, I am willing, what I will say, because it's only 4 games in, I am willing to draw a line under it and say, clean slate, let's go against Newcastle. If you can somehow pick up 6 points against Newcastle and Burnley, we're all right. We're back into territory where we will remain in touching distance in the January transfer window, and we can go look at the squad in January. But we've got to stay there, because the weekend was a real bad one for us. Not just that we got beat by Leeds, and then Burnley went and won. Brentford won. That was a bad weekend for West Ham United. Not just us, Wolves as well. And it was a bad week for Nuno. Those 2 defeats was a real bad week for him. He's got to learn. And that starts with the middle of the pitch and realising that Freddie Potts is not the gamble anymore. Freddie Potts is actually, in my opinion, one of the first names on the team sheet for the game against Newcastle. And it will be bloody tough for him up against, depending on which 3 Eddie Howe goes with. But Bruno being there, Tonali's back to fitness now. He'll probably start as well. Regardless of what 3 Howe goes with, it's going to be bloody tough for Potts in there. But it's the following week against Burnley. That's where Potts is going to get tested, because this is compatible. You want to be, at Premier League level, you've got to do it against that Burnley midfield. Let's see. I don't think he's the gamble. The gamble is going with Tomas Soucek and Andy Irving once more. Anyway, I'm going to turn to the live chat and see what you're all thinking. Have a little chit chat with you. So get your thoughts in regards to West Ham into the live chat, and let's see what you're all saying. Scott has said, that's not Scott, this is Scott. Perhaps he's given everyone their chance. Has he? Has he given Potts a chance? I don't think he's given Wilson a chance. I don't know. I don't think... I don't subscribe to that. Again, Scott, you're allowed to think that. You're allowed to think he's just giving everyone a chance. I don't think he is. I don't think we are in the territory where we can just give everyone a go and see what happens. I think Nuno needs to work out his starting 11 pronto and stick with it. And if we were terrible, if we got battered by Everton, sure, but we didn't. There was enough positives, in my opinion, from that draw away to Everton to take into the Brentford game. And I feel like he ignored a lot of it. Magassa in particular, I thought really grew into the game against Everton. You didn't need to then give Irving a chance. You needed to build on what Magassa had shown, in my opinion. So you're allowed to think that, Scott. Well, maybe he is, but I disagree. If that's why he was doing it, I think he's made a mistake. RJ says, Wolves look shocking, but the reserves beat us. Avid said if we lose to Burnley next weekend, that's lost to all 3 promoted teams. 2 have already been convincing. Pretty sure that'll zap whatever little confidence the team does have. Pat saying Tadebo and Kilman are terrible players. Can't see us beating anyone with them 2 clowns in this team. They're not great. Not much alternatives either for him. See, that's the one thing I will say about Nuno. I haven't criticised him for the choice of centre-backs or what he's done at the centre of our defence, because I don't think there's much alternative. I don't think he's got much options there. So I'm willing to sort of give him a pass to some extent in that area of the team. But playing Scars at right-back, for example, there's no evidence as to why it would work. And we've also got Wan-Bissaka and Walker Peters. It's not like we've got no right-back, so he's having to squeeze someone there and hope it works. He had 2 really good senior right-backs, and he's opted for the academy player who's a left-back there. That's why I struggle a bit. Avid said Wolves against Burnley has him even more concerned. They both showed fight and way more. Yeah, but the problem is Wolves players' fight was with their fans after the match. Holloman said, sack him now. Don't wait until we're cut adrift, which we virtually are. Coach the club from within between now and January, at least. Well, you say coach from within. Arguably, we are. His coaching staff is made up of the academy coaching team, isn't it? Violet Lauren, not my Lauren, a different Lauren. Lauren says, worst season ever. We get relegated. Rice wins the league and Millwall get promoted. That would be a tough season as a West Ham fan. Avid said Newcastle's a must win. Same with Burnley. We're getting cut adrift. It's only going to compound week by week. I completely agree. I think if we can get a draw against Newcastle in isolation, that's a good result. It's just is enough at this stage. I'm a bit like Avid. It's hard to say, yeah, that's enough now. But we need to just get a draw, still a good result on Sunday against Newcastle United. But the Burnley game's an absolute must win. It's not 4 points from those 2 games isn't the end of the world. 4 points from the 4 games that we've had, 2 behind, 2 coming up, is not good enough. But a draw is maybe not the worst thing. Father said if Potts starts and comes through unscathed, his confidence will only increase. I agree with that one. Hutchinski, who's a Sunderland fan, said West Ham need to be hard to beat. I don't know if we can do that. Simon said we need a 3 in midfield to match Newcastle as best as we can. Graham saying not too soon to have an opinion on Nuno's progress so far. It's been bad. Maybe he's been trying to solve the problem of our leaky defence by going narrow with inverted fullbacks, but it's making it worse. I get what you're saying. I think you can go narrow without doing inverted fullbacks, though. I just haven't seen a benefit to trying that inverted fullback thing. Shin said, I actually thought the last 15 minutes against Leeds was half decent. Hammerman says we need Igor, Magassa, Fernandez, and Potts in. Papa saying Potts is no longer a kid. In my opinion, he's good enough and should be considered a starter. Tracy saying that lineup ×2 against Leeds seems iffy. Do you think he did it on purpose? Maybe he's realised the job's too big and he wants out. Gate safe on the West Ham Massive, a YouTube channel for West Ham fans. If you haven't already subscribed, do go give them a subscribe. Said if Nuno puts that non-existent midfield out against Newcastle, I'll start to come around to the narrative that he wants the Spanish archer. West Ham saying no centre-backs in the Prem could play well with Soucek and Irving in front of them. Hertz saying, where's Casey? He's at Swansea getting wished happy birthday when it's not his birthday. I mean, that's just West Ham, isn't it? If you haven't seen it, basically the club tweeted out happy birthday to Casey yesterday. And Casey's mum replied saying, thank you, but it's not till Tuesday. And it's just small things you think. It's a small error, right? But it's just one of those things you just think, bloody hell, we can't even get that right. All you have to do is Google it. His date of birth's correct on Wikipedia. Harold says the team didn't seem to care when we concede apart from an animated areola. We need some passion. Liam thinks Nuno is smoking spice before selecting a starting 11. X says the only reason he's playing the fullbacks inverted is for in-swinging crosses that we did not do once. Players like Paqueta have scored a lot from in-swinging crosses. Mark says what I want is to be just because we were happier and thought that there was an improvement doesn't mean Nuno thought so. We have to remember while we've been crap for years, Nuno is used to winning. Beneath the headphones is still confused about the Wilson situation. The fact we're starting games without strikers is very peculiar. I've always tried to be optimistic because life's too short to be negative, but it's hard. Rex says disaster at centre-back and centre-forward. Rest should sort itself out. Potts, Fernandez, Paqueta, Bowen, Somerville. Best bet then, full-back should be easy if you pick the left-backs and right-backs on the right side. I'll just leave centre-back, centre-forward. I don't necessarily disagree with what Rex is saying there. The difficulty is, do you have the answer at centre-back and centre-forward? And I think what Rex is hinting at is what I also think, which is the answer is no. Pick your centre-backs. They're probably not good enough. Pick your centre-forward. It's probably not good enough. So you could maybe get the midfield and the full-backs correct, but you're then stuck at quite key points in your team at centre-back and striker. Lovin says, do you think we keep Bowen if we go down? Absolutely not. And you know what? He shouldn't stay either. He shouldn't stay. He should be the first one out the door. If I'm an advisor to Bowen, I'm saying as soon as they get relegated, slap your transfer request in. Away you go and go play Champions League football for a couple of seasons. Newcastle United, honestly, I'd be advising him that's where to go. I'd say, look, Alanga's not pulled up any trees. Murphy's back in the team. There's an opportunity there to go and become Newcastle's right winger. I do believe that. I think he'd suit Newcastle perfectly and vice versa. Now, before I click on Avid's question, I don't know, what does it say? I'm reading it. I'm not going to read it. You're running out of time to join Patreon if you want to be in the giveaway for this Pedro Obiang shirt. Look at that. Very, very, very rare item. So rare. I think this is the only one in the world. It might not be. There might be another one. I can't 100% say that there's two. That there's only one, sorry. But knowing the club, they like to save as much money as they can. So I don't see why they'd print up two versions. This is the shirt he had when we announced the contract extension, and he signed it as well. So this is going to one of the patrons, as are these gloves, which are match worn by Adrian. I've gone and checked. He wore them in a game at Upton Park and gave them to a ball boy. That's how we've come to get them. So you've got two, match-worn Adrian gloves as well. It's simple. If you're a patron of Hammers Chat in October, an existing one, or you join this month, you're entered into the giveaway. It's as simple as that. From £3.60, so less than £1 per week, and your name will be in the draw, and you get other content over there as well. There's lots of different reasons as why you can join Patreon, but the giveaway, you must join before the end of October to be entered into the draw. I would say, can the club even afford a relegation? We have loans against Premier League money. We won't have, you can't, we've got loans against Premier League money this season, Avid, and also loans against, I think it's the equivalent of like the parachute money next season, so that if we got relegated, we've borrowed against money that we're guaranteed. But I think what you're getting at is still true. Financially, we are absolutely snookered. Connor says, what do we make of the 6-year contract for Kante? It's interesting. We tend to not hand out big deals like that for the youngsters. So either they really like him. Is it preparing for relegation? Are they looking, thinking, well, he'll be all right in the Championship? I don't know, but maybe it's a bit of both. I was surprised. I will say that. I like what I've seen from him. Just needs to tidy up his passing. A6 says, missed you over the weekend. Was waiting for the game review all weekend. Always helps me digest my own opinion of the game. I completely believe we win that game if we started Wilson and Potts. It's possible, and apologies. To be honest with you, my intention was to watch the game Saturday morning. Right, this is the thing. I genuinely, my plan was Frankie to do the watch along and the review and the debrief show on Saturday. Saturday morning, I was going to watch the game and then do like my own review and stuff. And I woke up Saturday and yes, went out Friday, stuff like that. But honestly, I couldn't be arsed. I just switched off from West Ham. Hamish Chat Geo had taken over because of everything going on in my life. I was like, what happens if we get relegated? Blah, 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 blah. But I just couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered watching it. So I didn't. I watched it late last night after the football. Once I watched this Everton Spurs game, that's when I put the West Ham game on. So apologies for no review, but the truth is, I couldn't be arsed. Rex says, if Bowen goes, I'd love to see him ripping it up for an Italian team. Get to Napoli. Scott McTominay, Jared Bowen, Billy Gilmore. Oh, I'd love a little bit of that. Lauren says, completely agree that Bowen would leave. Curious if he'd like to stay, continue being that West Ham man. I don't think so. I think we're doing well to have him here now. Vinyl said, I thought second half at Leeds was decent. Did Leeds sit back? Potts must start. Remember when Nuno said he's going to make it a nightmare for other teams to play us? Did he mean a nightmare for us fans? And Warren, thank you so much for the $50 super chat. Thank you. Very, very kind of you. Warren says, good morning from Australia Hammers fan. Thank you. Thank you for your support. I appreciate it. Bowen Bubble saying, idiots, Bowen won't go anywhere. Grow up. And West Iron saying, what do you think percentage of relegation is now? 65, maybe 70. I think it's likely. Do I think it's dead certain? No, but I appreciate some people do. And those who are convinced, they don't need to explain to me why they're convinced. I get it, right? Yeah, about 70%. I think we're gonna go down, and I think that's being optimistic. I think this is why I'm worried and frustrated, because I think the thing that was my saving grace, my comfort was, I think Nuno's a good manager. So I think that's why this week's really annoyed me, because I'm looking at him as our savior. I'm looking at him as the guy that's going to get us out of this, and even he's doing stupid things. So, like, if the guy I've got faith in, and I'm putting all my eggs in Nuno's basket here because that's all I've got, right? If he's making stupid mistakes, because I think that's what he's done this last week, he's made some real stupid mistakes. If he's doing that, then what have I got? I'm looking for reasons as to why we might be all right, and there isn't any really. So I'd struggle to tell someone why it's 75%. I don't know. It's probably higher than that, actually. I literally just spent the weekend speaking to Mrs. Gio, and the way I've been speaking, it's almost like 100% certainty to happen. But I think that's also because we're speaking about projections financially for the family, for future. So you've got to err on the side of caution a little bit in that regards. But yeah, I'm quite comfortable. Well, not comfortable. I'm quite confident that we're going to get relegated. It's hard to see anything. But part of me thinks if that bugger Nuno had played the team that most fans have wanted to see, that team that we've seen against Everton, and I know this is going to be difficult, I'm just not convinced we would lose both games. I really do think it was two opportunities missed this last 7 days. Brentford played well. Leeds did decent enough against us, don't get me wrong, but they're not. We're not speaking about Arsenal here. I think we could have got something from at least one of those games, possibly even both, had he picked the right lineup. Would it have been easy? No. Would we guarantee to win? No. But I also don't think we would have been guaranteed to lose either. And I think that's my frustration with Nuno. That's why I want to wring his bloody neck, really. I think, what have you done? What have you done? If he'd done those two things against Liverpool and Man City, I'd go, well, we probably would have won anyway, whatever. But he didn't. It was Brentford and Leeds. Nuno, man. That's what I keep saying. What are you doing, man? Why have you done that? Lord, I said there's no way West Ham will stay up. No way. Nuno's not the right manager to save the club, and Sullivan will not invest in the right players. The club is going down with Wolves and Leeds. Grouch said, likewise regarding Nuno, which tells him that Nuno did it on purpose. Bradley said, I love having Soucek at the club, but he has to be used correctly, like as a 70th minute. He's declined a lot. I know people's expectations of Soucek wasn't high, but he was useful. But I don't even think he's useful anymore. If West Ham get relegated, you would still do Hammers Chat right, says West Hamers. As long as I could, I would do my best to do Hammers Chat. I don't know. That's the conversations I've been having with Lauren, not Violet Bones. The other Lauren, Mrs. Gio Lauren. That's the conversation we've been having over the weekend. Kind of why I didn't do any videos, because we needed to sit down and speak. Because to be honest with you, I can say it now because it's not the end of the world. But I hadn't told her until this weekend. I hadn't told her that Boyle Sports had disappeared, because she would worry. She'd be like, "Oh my God, what are we going to do?" So it was one of those things I was trying to fix. That's why, the club app, we don't get much money, but a little bit of something. Beer 52 that I promoted earlier, again, it doesn't replace Boyle Sports, but it's a little bit of something. We've tried to, do you know what I mean? So that's what I've been doing this weekend. So I would still do videos, I think, West Irons. It's just whether or not I'd be able to do it as a job or not. That's the big question. And the truth is, we don't know. We don't know, but that's why I've started Tartan Geo. I'm hoping that channel can bring in a little bit of money so that if Hammers Chat did decrease, I'm okay, because I've got Tartan Geo. But it earns about £150 a month at the minute, Tartan Geo. So it's not huge, but it's also not nothing. That makes sense. I just need to get my finger out. Avid says now's the time for the board to do some talking. However, we know they won't. I don't want talking. Do you know something? I don't want any talking from the board. None of it. Because they'll just piss me off. No matter, there's nothing that can come out of that board's mouth that will satisfy me. Even if they came out and said, we've got it wrong, we apologize. I think, no, I'm not having that. I'm not having it. there's making a mistake, and then there's doing things just like outrageously incompetent, and then going, "Oh, sorry, no, I'm not having the latter." I can accept mistakes, but what I can't accept is just sheer, almost arrogance, and I don't want to hear them. What I want is an article to come out, not by the board, by Katie Maguire, by Swiss Football, to say, "Oh, have you seen Company's House? West Ham United have just injected £100 million in equity shares." That's what I want. I want them to put their own money in to give us a bit of a chance for the January transfer window. No, none of that. Shut up. Keep it shut. I'm enjoying this silence, this whole Sullivan sulking, not speaking to anyone. I absolutely love it. Keep your beak shut. Now, speak to your fellow shareholders, Katinsky, all of you. Get your money into the club and go spend big in January as a Hail Mary. And it might blow up in our face and we get relegated. But you know what? If we go down without an injection of cash, we are financially fucked anyway, right? So we might as well go hell for leather and do everything we can to try and stay in this Premier League, because that wee man's going to want to sell the club eventually. Whatever the club's worth today, it's not what he wants, but whatever it's worth, I'll tell you what, it's going to be 75% off once we're relegated. My worry is if we go down, he won't sell up, because anyone interested in buying a club will offer fair market value, and it isn't satisfactory for David Sullivan. This is the football club that the vice chair on a personal website, I don't know if it's still there, said that West Ham United's worth 800 million. No one thinks it is except her and David Sullivan. So no talking from them. I like this media blackout that we've got, but I would like to see some action. Paul says what is him is that if we do go down, Sullivan will make a statement saying he's more determined than ever to get us back up and he won't sell the club. Oh, absolutely. But might as well just type it out and say the club's worth a little bit less than what it was. So I want to get promoted so I can sell the club and make even more money. West Ham said, I will support you in Championship, although supporting West Ham's getting hard. Thank you. To be fair, West Ham, some of the best days, some of my favourite days supporting West Ham have been in the Championship. You go down, you go from one of the worst teams to one of the best teams. It might not be the same this time round. That's a worry. But we'd be the biggest club in that division. We would be, and we just win more games. Do you know what? It would be a bit more fun, no VAR. I enjoy watching Championship football. Getting relegated would be bad for West Ham. It would be bad for Hammers Chat. But eventually, as a fan, removing yourself from like how the club's running stuff, just 90 minutes on a Saturday and on a Tuesday, it would actually possibly become more enjoyable than what we're watching at the minute. Because what we're watching at the minute for the last couple of seasons, it's been miserable, isn't it? It's crap football, crap results. It's not really that enjoyable, is it? At least in the Championship, you actually end up having a good couple of seasons down there sometimes. Some of my favourite days being a West Ham fan hasn't been in the Premier League. Mark says Tarngio can end up being a big channel. I hope so, Mark. I need to get my finger out, though, and start doing more, but I'll do my best. However, I appreciate the kind words. Asib said Freddie Potts has to start all the games. Lauren saying the longer the board keep their mouth shut, the better. It's bad enough that basically explode with rage when the camera pans them in match day. Have you got the day off or something, Lauren? You don't normally get to join the live chats. Lauren, lovely person, works for the NHS, bless her. Got a lot of respect for anyone that does that. Nick says, personally, I don't care if we go down, but as I would enjoy Championship, but I want them to stay up for the sake of myself and Gonzo. Bless you. The content from both of us keeps him saying, well, Nick, we'll do our best to keep going regardless. I promise you. If we do give up Hammers Chat, it's not without a fight. Aidan, would we have a preferred manager in the Championship? Not one that's realistic. Can I give you an unrealistic one? That would be, to be fair, I don't think he will. I don't know how I haven't seen much of Strasbourg this season, but Liam Senior is someone I liked at Hull, and I've kept my eye on a little bit, and he's doing really well over in France. Funny enough, I watched an interview with him today. It was today. And he said about 90% of football's man management and people skills, and 10% is actual like tactics and stuff like that. whilst I may not agree, I don't know, he's the manager, but I do think he's a good manager. So I think if that would be my unrealistic one, followed by Craig Bellamy, what would happen? It's the end of the World Cup campaign. I couldn't even tell you what his contract is with Wales. Does it expire at the end of the World Cup, or does it continue into the Euro qualifiers? If it expires, he's someone else I'd have my eye on. I like him, like to cut his jib, like him tactically. Can be a little bit. Got his favourites with Wolves, with Wales, which is a little bit of a red flag. But I think every manager has that. Pep Guardiola has that with bloody Bernardo Silva, for example. Kieran McKenna, if Ipswich don't go up, they're not having a great season, but I still think he's a really good tactician, and I think he would be someone that would be good at West Ham if they don't get relegated. Get relegated. If Ipswich don't get promoted, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but if somehow Coventry don't come up, I actually think Frank Lampard might actually be a good fit. There's obviously a lot of bridges need to be repaired, but I'm telling you now, you haven't watched Coventry City play football this season. Next time they're on the telly, watch them. Coventry are playing really good football and scoring a lot of goals. They're flying at the minute in the Championship. I think Lampard's done his apprenticeship now. He's got Coventry playing some good stuff. I admire it, actually. I do like him as a manager, and I like the football that Coventry are playing. Many said, I'm genuinely concerned, not just about relegation, but the club has ceased to exist next to you. You don't know what's going to happen if we do go down. It could be. You always see big clubs. Leeds and Sunderland, I keep pointing at them because they're relevant in the Premier League. They got relegated again before they could come back up. You don't know what happens when you go down there. Rex saying Liam Senior is a future managerial genius. Love his football and seems a top bloke. Was on my top 5 wish list of future West Ham manager. He was someone I liked post Hull. If we could have had him, he would have been my punt because there was only Hull to go on for me. And I think Hull made a mistake sacking him. I quite liked his football, quite liked his results, and he had a good set of players at that club. But don't know, I did like him. Chris saying, I love Lampard's football, not sure he'd come back. Yeah, I'm a bit like that as well. I don't know if he would come back to West Ham, but as a manager, he's impressing me, actually. He's impressing me quite a bit. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because it's Grace's bedtime, so she needs to get to her cot in 27 minutes, which gives this video enough time to process so I can put some adverts in it and earn some money off the back of it. If you wouldn't mind considering joining our Patreon, if you haven't done so already, go to patreon.com/HammersChat. And if you would like a free box of 8 beers, that one's missing because I drank it yesterday. Free box of 8 beers. Links in the description below, or you can go to beer52, that's beer52.com/hammers, and you can grab your free box. You've just got to pay for postage, which is £5.95. Thank you very much for joining me, though. I really appreciate it. Thank you for all the support you've given to Frankie over the last couple of days when I couldn't be arsed making videos. I will catch up with you tomorrow.